I want you to picture something for a moment. A man, James, 71 years old, retired head teacher from Yorkshire. He had been on blood pressure medication for 4 years. His readings were sitting around 152/88 most mornings. His GP had recently mentioned they might need to adjust her dose upward. He started doing 3 things. Not a gym program. Not a personal trainer. Not expensive equipment. 3 specific types of movement, each one taking less than 30 minutes, done at home or in her neighborhood. 8 weeks later her morning reading was 138/82. His GP did not change the dose. In fact, his GP asked what she had changed. He had not changed her diet. He had not changed his medication. He had changed how he moved, and specifically, how he moved in 3 particular ways that research has spent the last 2 decades studying in adults over 60. That is what this video is about. Not exercise as a general concept. Not a list of things you should probably do. 3 specific types of movement, each one explained clearly, each one with the exact dose that produces results in seniors with high blood pressure, and each one adaptable to whatever your current fitness level actually is right now. Let us get into it. Before I walk you through the 3 exercises, I want to take 2 minutes to explain what is actually happening inside the body, because once you understand the mechanism, the exercises make complete sense and you will understand exactly why these 3 and not others. Your blood pressure is determined by 2 things. How hard your heart is pumping, and how much resistance your blood vessels are offering to that flow. Think of it like water pressure in your home. The pump strength on one side, the pipe width on the other. In adults over 60, the most common driver of elevated blood pressure is not the pump, it is the pipes. The arteries have gradually stiffened over the years. The inner lining of those arteries, a microscopically thin layer called the endothelium, has lost some of its ability to relax and widen in response to demand. This is where exercise becomes genuinely remarkable. When you engage in the right types of movement, your body produces a compound called nitric oxide from the inner walls of your arteries. Nitric oxide causes those artery walls to relax. They widen. Resistance drops. Blood pressure falls. This is not a temporary effect. With consistent exercise over 8 to 12 weeks, the arteries begin to structurally remodel. They become more elastic. The endothelial cells become healthier and more responsive. The effect becomes sustained, not just during exercise, but around the clock. The American Heart Association reviewed 93 clinical trials involving more than 5,000 adults. Regular moderate exercise reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 5 to 8 points. In adults over 60 specifically, the effect was even stronger. In some studies, up to 11 points reduction in systolic pressure. To put that in context, 11 points is comparable to what some blood pressure medications achieve. Now, not all exercise produces this effect equally. The research is very specific about which types work best for blood pressure in older adults, and the answer might surprise you. It is not the most intense exercise. It is not the exercise that makes you most breathless. It is 3 specific types, and here they are. Exercise 1. Brisk walking. This is the most researched, most accessible, and most consistently effective form of exercise for blood pressure reduction in adults over 60. Not a casual stroll. Not a power hike. Brisk walking, defined as a pace that increases your breathing noticeably but still allows you to hold a conversation. Here is what the science shows specifically. A study published in the Journal of Hypertension followed 391 adults over 60 with elevated blood pressure. Those who walked briskly for 30 minutes, 5 days per week for 12 weeks, reduced their systolic blood pressure by an average of 8 points. Their diastolic, the bottom number, came down by 4 points. That is not a minor effect. That is clinically meaningful. And here is the detail that changes everything for people who find 30 minutes difficult. A 2023 study in the British Journal of Sports Medicine found that 3 separate 10-minute walks throughout the day produced the same blood pressure reduction as one continuous 30-minute walk. The effect is cumulative. Your body does not require it to be done in a single session. The dose that produces results, 30 minutes total, 5 days per week. Or 3 10-minute walks. Your choice. The pace, brisk enough that your breathing increases. You could still answer a question, but you would not want to have a long conversation. How to know if you are at the right intensity. The talk test. You should be able to say a short sentence, "It's a nice morning," but you should not be able to comfortably recite a full paragraph without taking a breath. That is the zone. One important note. If you are on a beta blocker, a medication like atenolol, bisoprolol, or metoprolol, your heart rate will not rise as much during exercise as it would otherwise. Do not use heart rate to judge intensity. Use perceived effort and the talk test instead. Begin with 10 minutes if 30 feels ambitious. The habit matters more than the distance right now. A 10-minute walk done consistently every day will begin producing measurable effects within 4 weeks. Exercise 2. Resistance training, specifically slow and controlled. This one surprises people. Most seniors associate weights and resistance training with gyms, injury risk, and young athletes. The research tells a very different story. A meta-analysis published in the journal Medicine and Science in Sports and Exercise reviewed 44 randomized controlled trials on resistance exercise and blood pressure. The findings were clear. Regular resistance training reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 4 to 5 points in adults with hypertension. In those over 60, the effect was consistent and significant. But the type of resistance training matters enormously. The research that shows consistent blood pressure benefits in older adults used slow, controlled, moderate load movements, not heavy weights, not high-intensity circuits. 2 to 3 sessions per week. 8 to 12 repetitions per exercise. Controlled movement throughout. Here are 3 specific exercises that require no gym, no equipment beyond a chair and your own body weight, and that have been used in clinical trials with seniors. Wall push-ups. Stand arm's length from a smooth wall. Place both palms flat on the wall at shoulder height. Slowly lower your chest toward the wall over 4 counts, then push back to the start over 4 counts. This is a complete controlled repetition. Do 10 to 12 of these. Then rest for 60 seconds. Repeat twice more. Seated leg press with resistance. Sit in a sturdy chair. Place both feet flat on the floor. Slowly stand up over 4 counts, then slowly lower back down over 4 counts. Do not drop into the chair. This is a modified squat using your body weight. 10 repetitions. Rest. Repeat twice more. Doorway row. Stand in front of a partially open door. Hold both sides of the door frame with both hands at hip height. Slowly lean your body back, arms straight, then pull yourself gently back to upright by drawing your shoulder blades together. 10 repetitions, slow and controlled. The principle for all 3 is the same. Slow. Controlled. Never holding your breath. Never straining. If you feel discomfort in your joints, reduce the range of movement, not the slowness. Breathing during resistance exercise is critical and almost nobody explains it clearly. Exhale during the exertion phase, the push, the stand, the pull. Inhale during the return phase. Never hold your breath. Holding the breath during resistance exercise, a technique called the Valsalva maneuver, temporarily spikes blood pressure sharply upward and should be avoided entirely in seniors managing hypertension. 2 to 3 sessions per week of these 3 movements, with rest days in between, is the dose that the research supports. Exercise 3. Slow, rhythmic breathing during movement, sometimes called mind-body exercise. This is the least conventional of the 3 and the one most people have not heard presented this way. Let me explain exactly what it is and why it works. A 2022 review in the journal Hypertension examined multiple forms of what researchers call mind-body exercise, Tai Chi, gentle yoga, and slow breathing walking, in adults over 60 with elevated blood pressure. The consistent finding across all 3 forms was a systolic blood pressure reduction of 5 to 7 points after 8 to 12 weeks of regular practice. The mechanism is different from the other 2 exercises. This one works primarily through the nervous system. When you combine gentle movement with slow, rhythmic breathing, specifically breathing at around 6 breaths per minute, you activate what scientists call the parasympathetic nervous system. This is the rest and digest branch of your autonomic nervous system, the opposite of the stress response. Activating it consistently through slow breathing movement trains the nervous system over time to keep cortisol lower, keeps the adrenal system from firing as readily, and keeps the blood vessels in a more relaxed state throughout the day. The simplest way to do this without any training in Tai Chi or yoga is what I call a slow breathing walk. Walk at a comfortable, unhurried pace. Set a simple timer on your phone to a 5-second interval. Breathe in for 5 steps. Breathe out for 5 steps. That is it. You are now walking at approximately 6 breaths per minute, the rate that research consistently identifies as producing the strongest parasympathetic response. 15 to 20 minutes of this, 3 to 4 times per week, is the dose used in most of the research studies showing blood pressure benefits. You can combine this with your brisk walking by doing 5 minutes of slow breathing walking as a warm-up before your brisk pace, and 5 minutes of it again as you cool down at the end. This combination, brisk walking sandwiched by slow breathing movement, produces both the nitric oxide effect from exercise 1 and the nervous system calming effect from exercise 3 in a single 30-minute session. 2 mistakes that eliminate most of the blood pressure benefit from exercise. The first is irregular timing. The blood pressure lowering effect of a single bout of exercise lasts approximately 22 hours. This is called post-exercise hypotension. For that effect to accumulate and eventually produce structural arterial changes, exercise needs to happen at least every other day. Exercising hard on Monday and then not again until Friday does not allow the cumulative effect to build. 5 days out of 7 is the target. 2 rest days per week are appropriate. 3 or more rest days in a row and the cumulative benefit begins to diminish. The second mistake is exercising when blood pressure is acutely very high. If you check your blood pressure before exercise and it reads above 180/110, that day is not an exercise day. That is a phone call to your GP day. Moderate and well-managed blood pressure responds well and safely to the 3 exercises described. But exercising into a hypertensive crisis is not appropriate. Always check your reading before your session if you are managing high blood pressure, particularly in the first 4 weeks when you are establishing the routine. Your 8-week plan. Week 1 and 2. Brisk walking only. Begin with 10 to 15 minutes per session. Build to 20 minutes by the end of week 2. 5 days per week. Week 3 and 4. Add resistance exercises. 2 sessions per week on non-walking days, or on the same day after walking with a rest between. Begin with 2 sets of each exercise. Build to 3 sets by the end of week 4. Week 5 and 6. Add the slow breathing walk as your warm-up and cool-down around your brisk walking sessions. This adds approximately 10 minutes to each walking session. Week 7 and 8. You are doing all 3 types of exercise. Continue at the doses above. At the end of week 8, take your blood pressure first thing in the morning on 3 consecutive days and note the average. In the original research on this combined approach in adults over 60, the average systolic reduction after 8 weeks was between 7 and 11 points. That is not a promise. Every body is different. But that is what consistently appears in the data. One final thing before you go. Blood pressure is a responsive system. It responds to what you give it. For decades, many people over 60 have been given a pill and told to cut salt, and the message underneath that was, your body is now past the point where it can change itself. That is not what the research says. The research says that the arteries of a 70-year-old, given consistent aerobic movement, begin producing more nitric oxide within 2 weeks. Given consistent resistance training, they begin structurally remodeling within 8 weeks. Given consistent slow breathing movement, the nervous system recalibrates within 4 to 6 weeks. Your body is still listening. It is still capable of change. These 3 exercises are not a replacement for your medication, and they are not a replacement for your GP. They are what you add alongside everything else, the inputs that give your cardiovascular system the signals it was designed to receive. Drop your age in the comments. I want to know who is putting this into practice. And if this video gave you something your last appointment did not have time to cover, please share it with one person over 60 who needs it. I will see you in the next one.